busy with Quidditch practice every evening of the week on top of all his homework. But Harry could hardly believe it when he realized he'd already been in Hogwarts 2 months. The castle felt more like home than Overdrive ever had. His lessons, too, were becoming more and more interesting now that they had mastered the basics. It was colder here than up at the main castle. It would have been quite creepy enough without pickled animals floating in glass jars all around the walls. Snape, Light Flickwood, started the class by taking the roll call, and Light Flickwood stared at Harry's name. "Ah yes," he said softly, "Harry Potter, our new celebrity." Ron, at the next table, wasn't having much more luck. "Wingardium Leviosa," he shouted, waving his long arms like a windmill. "You're saying it wrong," Harry heard Hermione snap. "It's Wingardium Leviosa. Make the gar nice and long." "You do it then, you're so clever." Hermione rolled up the sleeves of her gown, flicked her wand, and said, "Wingardium Leviosa." "You're here to learn the subtle science and exact art of potion making," spoken barely more than a whisper, but caught every word. Like Professor McGonagall, Snape had to get to be silent without effort. "As there's little foolish wand waving here, many of you will hardly believe that this is magic. I don't expect you to really understand the beauty of the softly simmering cauldron with its shimmering flames." "Come on, run, run!" Harry yelled at Hermione, trying to pull her toward the door, but she couldn't move. She was still flat against the wall, her mouth open with terror. The shouting and the echoes seemed to be driving the troll berserk. It roared again and started towards Ron, who was nearest, and had no way to escape. So how do people read books? Well, obviously, first of all, when you read a book, you read it to yourself. You don't... It's a solo activity. Reading is a solo activity. So when you read a book, you read it alone. You read it to yourself, inside your head. So my idea was to read out loud. So basically what I wanted to look at was how people think or react to somebody who's supposed to be reading alone and quietly to themselves inside their head. What happens if they're suddenly reading out loud, and maybe in an unexpected setting. So the grocery store provided both of those opportunities. So my idea was coffee shops, to be reading aloud in coffee shops, but obviously you see me in grocery stores, so what happened to the coffee shops? I really wanted to do coffee shops, but every time I walked up to one, it was like my legs were cemented to the ground. I could not move. I stood outside Starbucks and looked inside, and my cameraman was telling me to get in there, but I couldn't move my legs. I saw those people in there. It was like impossible. As soon as I walked away again, I was like, I could have just gone in there. I could have, done it. It's no big deal, but once you really get up to it, doing something like that, if you feel embarrassed, it's really difficult. So maybe it was more of a sort of self-discovery.